What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's Nothing Personal, Just Buffalo. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills won last week. We already did a preview show on that, so the season continues. Therefore, the show continues. Big game, big game, big game. Can't say that enough. We're talking about MVPs. We talk about a rivalry in the making. We're talking about top 10 offenses, top 10 defenses, bad weather, two teams built to play on the road, two teams built to play in bad weather. Man, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Got my co-host in the building with me, James Mallory, as we like to call him, NFL pedigree, CCSU Hall of Famer, J Mal. Big game. As you like to
Yes,
say, we ready to talk
sir.
that talk, right?
Man, talk that talk. You know how we do, man. So want to thank everybody for tuning in. Man, we're gonna have a great show tonight. I'm telling y'all right now. We ready. Y'all know JT ready. You see he had
Oh
to
yeah.
sip the water. He ready.
Oh yeah. I'm sipping this
JT
Gatorade.
ready.
I'm sipping this Gatorade, ready to talk. Name hydrating. Yeah, hydrating already, being ready for the night, right?
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, no, huge game coming up this week. Probably the biggest game of the entire divisional round playoff. Definitely the most anticipated game. We said back in week 4 when the Bills lost that game to the Ravens 35-10 in dominating fashion, the Ravens won, that all roads led back to these two teams meeting up again. Okay? Um, and here we are. Now, I would say back when the season began, maybe we assumed that this game may be in Baltimore. We didn't know where this game would be, right? But it's here in Buffalo. And man, I would love to say that's an advantage. I'm not exactly sure. We're gonna talk about that tonight. But you can't ask for a better matchup. I mean, every single notch is being hit. Franchise quarterbacks, boom.
Yep.
Franchise running backs, boom.
Yep.
Receiving cores, boom. Both teams 2 tight ends, boom. Offensive line set for both teams, another hit. Then you talked about the head coaches. 2 tenured head coaches, 2 coaches who are known for winning. Obviously, McDermott has not got that elusive Super Bowl yet. Jim Harbaugh does have one. But boom, I mean, you cannot ask for a more even matchup. So let's hop right into it, Mal. What is the best part of this matchup that you like?
Hmm. The battle of the trenches.
Okay.
I love the battle of the trenches. That's where football's played, right? You can say, oh, the star receiver, the star running back. If your line is boo boo, you're not gonna get too far. And I think that's one thing that's underrated for the Buffalo Bills is our offensive line, right? And they're gonna have to show it on Sunday
Oh yeah.
because Baltimore they gonna bring it. So you talk about Spencer Brown, you talk about Deion Dawkins, right? You talk
Mm-hmm.
about Torrance, you talk about Edwards, you talk about McGovern. Like them guys got to come with it, right? So and the same thing for their offensive line, and defensive
Yeah.
line. They got to bring our defensive line got to bring it as well.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the guys who we'll get more in depth with that. But that's the thing I'm looking forward to seeing is who's going to win. Whoever wins the trenches is going to win the game. That's what it's going to come down to. Because if our defensive line can really get to him and penetrate the gaps and get to Derrick Henry before he really gets going, they're going to have a problem.
Right.
So that I think that's what it's going to come down to, and I'm expecting um and watch a fun battle in the trenches.
Right. We got Keith Brugman in here tonight. Saying the linebackers need to be on display on both sides in this game, both sides, 100% Keith. Now Keith is he joined us last week too. He's a Broncos
Thank
uh,
you, Keith. Thank you for
fan,
joining.
and thank you for joining. We appreciate it. And like I told you guys last week about the Broncos, look out, they're coming, and they're coming real fast. Come, watch out. They hit the offseason right, and they're gonna be contending with the Chiefs for the AFC West next year. But yeah, appreciate you joining, Keith. Just wanted to give you a little shout out there. I know you're a Broncos fan, but we appreciate it for real, for real. No, you're right, man. The trenches is a big battle. For me, I think the most fun part of this match was going to be the receiving cores versus each secondary.
Yep.
and trying to watch these secondaries cover in the weather conditions, with both quarterbacks extending plays. That's gonna be the fun part for me. Who's gonna let that big touchdown up? Who's gonna
Yep.
be on that extended play? Who's gonna slip on possibly the snow or bad weather? Obviously, we saw it first quarter of the Bills Broncos game. Taylor Rep let Troy Franklin hit behind him, boom, touchdown. Who's gonna do that? Who's gonna make that mistake? So, but yeah, man, let's hop right into this first topic of the night. I want to bring it to. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my? Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Here we are. The MVP race. Right now, we know that the MVP race, whatever has been voted on, has already been voted on. It
Yep.
just has not been announced. But do you think that the MVP race is juicing up this game even more for both teams, but specifically both quarterbacks?
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, what better matchup would you want in the playoffs, man? Besides two MVPs leading their teams into the divisional round to go play against in the AFC Championship game, potentially against the guy who's been the king of the AFC for how long, right? So, like, man, what a great like you couldn't even. Paramount couldn't even put a script together like that, right? You wouldn't believe that that was a movie. You know what I mean? And we living in the moment right now of that. So I think that's something that the fans we should us as fans should all really embrace. Being able to watch these great quarterbacks lead their teams. I don't want to make it all about them because they're leading their teams. Um, and being able to come out there and compete, and then obviously that's gonna bring the juice when you got two guys who leading for the MVP race. It's gonna be number one and number two in the MVP race right here in this game, competing on Sunday night.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in both guys' mind. Both guys want to prove why whoever wins the MVP is going to. This is why they gave me the award. I honestly say both guys are deserving of it. Now, obviously, I'm gonna be a little bit biased, and I'm gonna say that I do feel that when you talk about MVP, that Josh Allen team was more successful, and that in my opinion, not fully talking about numbers, it should go to him. I mean, we can also mention the fact that he missed 11 quarters of football this season.
Yep, people not
Which,
talking about that enough.
right, that's equivalent to almost 3 games of football. That I mean, I'm sorry the Bills were blowing teams out, but they were in the Ravens were some tight games. It is what it is. I mean, we can't knock it. I mean, nothing is Lamar. If he wins, he's deserving of it. If Josh wins, he's deserving of it. But I think for this specific game, both of these guys want to show each other up, and I don't think that
Yep.
we've seen the matchup. How many times we've seen them? How many times we've seen the matchup? Is it 4 times so far?
Yeah, I believe
Twice.
so.
Uh, Playoff game.
Yeah.
Buffalo lost in Buffalo to them. The Buffalo beat them in Baltimore. Actually, 4 times. So 1-1 in Baltimore, and 1-1 in Buffalo. With Buffalo win the playoff game. So just, I believe they're 2-2 versus each other.
And then that rookie year, their rookie years.
I didn't. The rookie did it. No, that was preseason, was it?
No,
Did they
that's when we
match?
got blew out. The Bills got blew out.
Okay,
Remember,
so
Josh got in that
Lamar's.
game, and Lamar did as well. So, but I
Oh,
mean, they weren't like
okay.
the guys.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'm not going to count that one. But the starters, they're 2-2. So I would say this is probably the one where it's like, all right, listen, I want to show that I'm better than him. Obviously, we always talk about it's normally Josh versus Pat, or is it Lamar versus Pat? It's somebody versus Pat, and like sometimes it's Lamar versus Joe Burrow. But in this is like the for real first instance where it's like the world is watching Lamar versus Josh. This is
Yes,
definitely the first time of the world watching, saying, "Hey, what's going to happen
100%,
here?"
one hundred
So
percent.
they want to show each other up. Now, before we get off the topic, because I think we both agree, and I think, and if you think that the MVP race is gonna juice up this game more, just put yay or nay in the comments. Let's see what you guys think. But I will say this: when it comes to the MVP race, I think this is so close. I think that you should do co MVPs this year. I'd be okay with co MVPs this year. Give it to both of them. Lamar team came from the back end and got back in it and came back and won the NFC. I mean the AFC North. And Josh and them stayed on top riding high all season. And you cannot deviate from the fact that he did not play 11 quarters of football because the stats would be a lot closer in that case. Just saying.
Josh Allen probably would. And think about the quarters that he played where he just handed the ball off too.
Yeah.
Like when we had a lead and he just kind of handed the ball off to kill the clock. So if it was closer games, his stats probably would be crazy.
Hey, listen. No disrespect. The Ravens won a lot of games. No disrespect. But like I said, Lamar played a lot of meaningful football down to the last minute game while Josh was just like this.
Yep.
Gatorade sipping. Okay? It is what it is. So, but moving on, man. We got to talk about, and we got International D Dot coming on to break down this offense. Bernard and Milano are back for this rematch. They were not there the first game, and also you can include Teron Johnson's name in there as well. Those three guys were not playing in that first game versus the Ravens. Not saying that's the reason why the Bills got beat up. Not saying that's why the reason why Derrick Henry had 199 yards rushing. But I'm also not going to say that's not the reason that stuff happened. I got to ask you, how big of an impact is it that those two guys, and actually we could throw Teron Johnson there as well, are back for this game?
Huge. I just want to point out, like, it's a huge impact. Like, those two dudes are ballers. When you talking about, what's his name was out there? Uh, Not Dorian Williams. It was Dorian Williams
Spectre.
and
Spectre.
Morrow. And Spectre. Morrow played a
Spectre,
little
yeah.
bit, right? Spectre. Come on, man. Like, if you look yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, it's not much of a difference from Spectre and Milano," and really, like, you dig it. So when I sit back and I look at those two, right, and the impact they're going to have on communication, making sure guys are in the right spot, and being able to just play sound, fundamentally sound football, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a huge addition to add those guys into the mix, along with just adding this in that game. Von Miller out, suspended, right?
No, he played.
Matt,
Von played that game, didn't he?
he was suspended.
Was he?
He was
Okay.
suspended that game. Yeah, Von was suspended that game. That was the first. I believe that was the first game of his suspension, right? Then you go Teron Johnson, broken forearm. Taylor Rapp left in the second quarter with a concussion. No Amani Cooper yet. Josh Allen, don't forget his hand was still hurting from that week one situation. And then you got to
His hand was
remember
broken.
this. Huh?
His hand was
Yeah,
broke.
yeah, exactly. So you got to remember that 2 weeks was it 2 weeks from a broken hand, from freshly breaking it, right? And then you have
Yeah.
to remember Khalil Shakir came out in the second quarter with that ankle. And even though he went back in the game,
It wasn't the
it
same.
was a tender. He wasn't the same. So think about these names you were missing that weren't healthy. That's healthy now. Von Miller, Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Teron Johnson, Taylor Rapp, Normani Cooper. So I add Normani Cooper in there. A healthy Josh Allen and a healthy Shakir. That's 8 dudes, not just players. Those are dudes. Those
Right.
dudes, those are dudes. And you add those to it, I mean, that don't like, oh, we guarantee a win now. No, but what I can
No.
guarantee you that they're gonna be a lot more competitive, right? It won't be a 35-10 game type of situation. I'm willing to bet that. But those dudes matter. That's like you saying on their team, Lamar Jackson was hurt. It's like saying Zay Flowers had a bad ankle. That's
He
like
may have
saying
hurt.
Roquan Smith was out. Like you naming these dudes, man. That's like
Well,
saying
for them it'd be
Hamilton had a sprained ankle. Like that
well,
stuff matters, man.
well. To be honest, if you do it if you went position for position, okay, it would be saying Trenton Simpson is not there, Roquan Smith is not there, and Marlon Humphrey is not there.
Yeah,
If you
literally,
went position for position, that's
literally,
a difference. That's a big difference.
literally.
Now, mind you, I mean, Bernard is not necessarily Roquan Smith, but he ain't no slouch either.
No,
Let's just be real. Let's be 100% there. Okay. No, Zay Flowers did not practice today yet, Cindy. He did not. I checked that report.
I think they're gonna try to play him.
Well, I mean, either way, if he's not practicing, yeah, even if he does play, he's
He's not
still
gonna be
out.
effective. I mean, we talking that was a nasty injury he had, man.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
ugly.
ugly. Yeah, we watched that one. So Marcus says Cooper versus Stevens advantage Buffalo. Yeah, we're going to talk about that matchup pretty soon. About the Bills receivers versus Ravens secondary. But I'm going to say this about these guys being back. And like I said, I know the heading says Bernard Milano back for rematch, but we're going to include Teron Johnson as well. That is a clear cut advantage for Buffalo, and the reason I say that is specifically Milano and Teron Johnson. They have them two specifically for the Bills have gone against Lamar Jackson in his Raven offense multiple times. Those two guys specifically has gone against Derrick Henry when he was with the Titans multiple times. Okay, it's not culture shock for those guys going against these two players. Now, obviously, going against these two players together is a little bit different, but reading, reacting, understanding, we know how high Matt Milano's football IQ is.
Mm-hmm.
The things that he's going to see and read that Dorian Williams cannot, that Baylor Spector cannot, that Nicholas Morrow cannot, that's a big difference between giving up a 7-yard run and stopping something for 2 yards.
Now let me ask this: Morrow is he on the practice squad or active? He's on the practice squad.
I have no damn clue. I wouldn't. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Because what I'm saying is we're saying guys that's not even on the active guys that's not even on the active roster, and
I
then
don't even know.
even Spector, he's not even on the. I mean, even though he's injured, but we're talking about guys who were literally playing meaningful downs the damn their whole game, who's not even playing. Like they're out. Like Spector wouldn't even probably. It's questionable if he even would be active for this game because he was. We ain't gonna go there, but that was my point of asking that.
Right. No. So like I said, it's just like, and then when you really add in Teron Johnson to this, right? Teron Johnson's strongest strength is helping against the run.
Yeah.
And obviously we had Cam Lewis in that game. This is a guy
The
who
gap from those two players is not even funny. Like it's
exactly. Now, like I said, as far as Teron goes, this is a guy that we've seen. It's almost like having an extra strong safety out there when he's playing.
Literally.
And that is huge, especially when we start talking about you have to stop Derrick Henry before he gets going. Well, this is the guy that's going to do it coming off that edge. We've seen him do it multiple times throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
Fearless. But as far as Marcus Herring says, Bernard puts other players positions. That's the other part of that. The green dot. You have your true green dot back in there.
You see, he did it last week twice with the D tackles. Exactly. Literally going to smack them to move them over, give them the right position.
Exactly. Nicholas Morrow was back in Philly. Thanks, Marcus.
Okay.
Appreciate it. So those three players are huge. Those are your three players that could probably contribute most to stopping your run. Outside of your defensive tackles and holding your gaps, those three players specifically control the front seven in your run defense.
Yep.
And they contribute the most. So
and JT, let me add this.
What do you got?
No Jordan Phillips, no Quentin Jefferson either.
No, we didn't have them. You're right.
So those are 10 guys, literally 10 players that you add.
Yeah, so let's go through that list again. Khalil Shakir, ankle injury.
Yeah, yep, I got it. So Von Miller, Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Taron Johnson, Taylor Rapp, Amari Cooper.
Taylor Rapp out that game? Wait, was Taylor Rapp out the game?
He left in the second quarter with concussion.
You're right.
No Amari Cooper yet.
Yep.
Josh Allen. Then we go a healthy Josh Allen, with the hand. Not then we had Khalil Shakir, who hurt his ankle. He had to come out, get retaped. He wasn't the same.
Right.
Quentin Jefferson, Jordan Phillips. Talking 10 guys that play.
And next, I'll add one more to your list. Curtis Samuel was still battling the turf toe then.
Yes.
Okay. So, just saying, that's a lot of different. Are we saying that the Bills are going to win the game because they got these players back? No. Because honestly, since that point, the Ravens team has gotten a lot better.
Yes.
I mean, that Raven team we saw then, this Raven team is, and giving them credit, is better than that team we faced in week 4. But so are we. It's just going to be who's going to be a little bit better on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Um, Next question, man. How can Buffalo slow down Jackson and Henry? That's, I mean, obviously, if we had an answer, they probably wouldn't have won. If we had an answer, somebody else would have the answer. And they probably wouldn't have came back and won the AFC North. They probably wouldn't be marching here to Buffalo to try to make the Super Bowl run. And hell, Derrick Henry went and ran for 1,800 yards this year. How can Buffalo slow them down? What we got?
In big games, and I just think I go back to thinking about my college coach, right? Coach Mack, who's at Penn State now, our head coach, would always say in big games, you got to just be you, right? Play to your strengths and play sound, just disciplined football. So be who you are, Buffalo, right? Not saying don't make adjustments, right? You're going to make adjustments, right? But at the same time, be who you are, but play at a high and just play at a high level, play fast. You got to hit them. You know, you got to wrap up. You know, you got to tackle. You know what they got to do. You've went over this game plan a million times by now, right? You drilling it and drilling it. You go home, you watching film, you practicing it. You scout team giving you a good look. These are things you have to drill and just be in the right place. Your run fits are everything, right? It's your run fits. You can't try to play superhero ball and try to jump the gap, trying to undercut. Nah, man, take this path, this angle because you think you've ever. No, stay true to your gaps. Gap integrity is going to be everything, because if no matter what defense you call, what scheme you run, if it's a 4-3, if you got the nickel out there, small guys, bigger guys, if you don't run fit, it doesn't even matter. If you got three linebackers out there, two linebackers, and and Johnson, it doesn't matter if you don't run fit. It's going to come down to run fit and tackling, gang tackling, right? You're not going to be able to just tackle that dude one on one, right? I have my opinions on Derrick Henry, me being a running back. Um, he's obviously a phenomenal running back, but he's not a dude that just run people over. He's more of a heavy dude. He's really, really fast, has really good feet, but he just happened to be 250 pounds. He's not
Hurts
a
to
dude that's
tackle.
gonna look. He's not. Yeah, he's hard to tackle because he's a big dude. He's not Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon gonna lower the pads and he gonna try to run your ass over.
Right.
Derrick Henry is trying to. He's more.
Right.
Nah. He's not. He very rarely do you see him just lower his shoulder and just he's running through people, right? He'll run through people because he's bigger than them, right? But if I think we'll be okay if we just keep our gap integrity. That's gonna be the main thing. And also the key to this game is gonna be Ed Oliver causing havoc. He has
Has to.
to.
We've been
Yes,
looking for it.
he got to shoot those gaps. You got to penetrate those gaps. I think that's where another. I think this will be more of a Quentin Jefferson game than a Jordan Phillips game because even though he's 6'6", 350, he's finesse, right?
Hmm.
So if you can get Quentin Jefferson rolling with Ed Oliver, and then obviously I think Daquan Jones, we need him to come back to that form last year. Those
Yeah.
guys are gonna be key. We know Russo gonna come with it, right? We know AJ is gonna come with it on the ends, and we know Von Miller gonna be juiced up. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a really good game. So those guys are gonna bring it on the end,
But
but we gotta have the inside of that defense ready and rock and rolling.
but one thing we'll say about Von Miller too, as I was talking about these defensive ends and setting the edge and things as such. Von Miller doesn't get fooled with anything on the edges,
No, no,
and he never overcommits. It's just too much. He's played football too long at a high level. He nothing surprises him. He never loses contain. But I will say this: this is one game, specifically one game, where I still wish we had Shaq Lawson on this roster,
yeah,
just for this one game. And the reason I say that is that I hope that Bobby Babbitt and those guys are showing specific film of Shaq Lawson to these defense ends because when we used to play Baltimore, that's one guy who gave Baltimore fits was Lawson. And you talk about gap integrity, holding your lanes, containing, setting the edge, and not giving it up. Shaq did that every single time versus them. But neither here or there. I'm with you. I think that everybody's just playing their game. That's going to be the way you do it. I think when it comes down to defensive calls and Bobby Babbitt, if Zay Flowers is not playing in this game, it's time for the secondary to make their money. And what I mean
absolutely.
by that, and what I mean by that is go get them. first and second downs, this may be the game that we need to have our heaviest blitz percentage, in my opinion. Is this game. Speed Lamar up, go back there, get Henry, stop Henry before he gets started. You know you're gonna see RPO after RPO after RPO.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, just go get him. One somebody hit Henry, you have somebody hit Lamar. Man the tight ends up, don't let them get past you. That's it. You do your job. But this is the game where you got to bring it to them
Yes.
because in order to really beat them, and I say, when we talk about the keys to the offense, the keys is getting up by 2 scores. If you can get up by 2 scores and force them to turn into a more traditional offense, this is when they struggle. But if you keep them in the game and they can run that RPO after RPO after RPO, it does not become just it's not just Derrick Henry who you have to worry about. We also have to talk about Justice Hill,
Mm-hmm.
another dude who gave us fits in week 4, and a guy
Absolutely.
who no people don't talk about him enough.
Yep. He can play.
And then we talk about that double tight end monster they got in Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. If you can get up and you could turn a traditional offense, and we've seen that has been Baltimore's Achilles heel in the last couple of playoffs run when they got knocked out normally in this type of round. Is because they played a good team, they got down, and you had to turn to traditional offense, and that's where they struggled.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Well said, JT. Well said.
So, um, like I said, those 3 guys that we just talked about, Bernard, Milano, Johnson. Milano and Johnson are getting paid very well. Bernard's going to get paid very well by somebody. I don't know if it's going to be Buffalo, but by somebody, he's going to get paid. They got to earn that money this week. Taylor Rapp and DeMar Hamlin got to earn that money this week. DeMar Hamlin took a terrible angle in that week 4 matchup. Now, I still say this day, I don't know if that was a business decision or not. I go back, I keep looking at that film, but I feel like it was a business decision.
It
But
was.
he
And
cannot.
I'll give him this. He has improved since then, though. I'll give him
Yes, he
that. And
has.
you know I've been tough on him.
Oh yeah. We both been.
And it's
We
gonna be
both been.
highlighted now. Hey, if you do that, it's gonna be highlighted. And
Right.
I don't want to say it, but I'll say, man, listen, I don't think they'd be shy about putting Cole Bishop in if dude ain't gonna come up with it.
Yeah, for real.
This ain't the
So,
time to be messing around.
you know what? Marcus put a good comment in the chat, and this is something we were talking about in our own cold front chat this week about the Bills implementing that 4-3 defense or the 43 front, and he says look for the Bills being in the 43 front with Williams being on a linebacker spot, showing a 5-man front, which we talked about that. Now I'm gonna ask you, how much do you think we'll see it? I think we'll see it. I just think we'll see it very minimally. But what do you think?
I think you have to put it. I think you got to sprinkle in there, right?
Yeah,
You
right,
can't be that stubborn where you just don't. So
right.
I think you are. You come with that over front, or you come with that over front, which is what Marcus is referring to.
Mm.
Um, I think that'd be a different look for him. I think Ricard, that's the one for me. He makes that running game go. That
Whew,
big dude, he makes that running game go.
man.
Um, yeah, he does. Um,
Patrick
so
Ricard, right? Ravens fullback.
yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Um, but yeah, I think so. Don't answer that question. I think you got to put some of it in there, and then what I would, me personally, what I would bring is some exotic blitzes out of it, and you really get that line thinking because once you get them thinking, that's when they could probably get in trouble. You can't just line up and just play straight ahead. I think you got to throw some games in there as well, to be able to get them thinking.
Now I just want to go back to this first game. Obviously, the Ravens put up 427 yards of offense. They ran the ball for 271 yards total off 34 carries at 8 yards a carry. That was your week 4 stats. And I was obviously once again big difference with the team we're putting out there. But this is a team we know what they're gonna do. But what they do it very well.
Yeah, yeah,
Better
um,
better than the rest.
yep. And I think my thing with why I don't think they're going to run a ton of that 4-3, they're going to run it because Terrell, not Terrell Bernard. Well, he's a baller, but Taron Johnson tackles so well. Like
They do.
he tackles low, right? So he's not one of these guys. Like you got so many guys that, especially DBs, they running up at Derrick Henry trying to tackle him so high. He's not going to do that. He's just not. So I think that could play into it. Because one thing about Derrick Henry, if you see when dudes start going at his legs, he gets very, very, very uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
So
it's the money
you
maker.
know, yeah. So he don't like that. So
All right, so I'm gonna say this. I think we're gonna see it very minimally. Maybe third and one, maybe third and two. Uh and even at that, it would not shock me if you tried to run like a 43 front, but you actually put Johnson as the third linebacker. It would not shock me. Just because, like I said, how many times in the past couple years have we seen Sean McDermott pull Tyron Johnson off this field?
yeah, they're not
You don't.
they're not.
It's just something you don't. It's something you don't do. He's
Yeah,
too valuable.
it's not smart to pull him off the field when he's such a baller. But then when I think about that 4-3, you do run it with those three linebackers, which you got to do. You have to. You got to blitz Dorian Williams because he's so active. You got to set him. You got to be.
Yeah.
You can't let him just sit back there, read and react. If you're gonna run that, he got to go. He got to go. Like that got to be a dude that you got to be like, yo, you the goon today. Go do it. That's right up his
That's what he
alley.
does. That's what he
That's
does.
what he do, right? I think that's where you can really, really see him be effective in that role. Like just go blitz, go get him, go. Like just go cause trouble, go hit somebody. I think that can really, really be a role for him this week.
Right. So if that's the key, if we think that's possibly the key to stopping or slowing down, because I'm not going to say stopping Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, because I using the word stop is disrespectful.
Hmm.
If you do it, great. But we talking about containing and slowing down.
Yep.
There's two more other players on that Ravens also that we have to talk about stopping or containing, and that's the tight end combo of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. They could be a major headache. And honestly, I think when you already mentioned Patrick Ricard, but when you talk about these three guys specifically, Patrick Ricard, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, they give them so much flexibility with the run game. But these two specifically, they are the ones who allow you to create the RPO matchups and give you mismatches. And these two
Yes.
guys we've seen can give you hell. So what would you say is the key to containing these guys along with Henry and Jackson?
That's so important, man, because I think they could be huge if you do contain. That's what makes them dangerous, right? You contain. You got to worry about Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on third downs, right? Third and short, and then you got to worry about those two can be dangerous, right? They can be dangerous on third downs. So you have to contain them dudes, man. And but I think that's more of the back burner. Listen, let's worry about containing and not letting Derrick Henry go off, and then we can worry about those two,
Well,
right?
I guess Keith's question makes sense, and it ties into not only the last topic but this topic as well. It's not about the 34 front or the 43 front, but the coverage you run behind. What's your base? Is it zone or man? And I guess that's a valuable question because if you're sending, and we're talking about containing Andrews, you're talking about containing Likely, my guess would be your coverage would be you have to kind of be some type of man.
You have to. I mean, you have to. I mean, once again, you said it. You want them to make your money now. Like this is like we not about to sit back there and let them. You cannot let Lamar Jackson sit back there and pat the ball because
Mm-mm.
what's going to happen eventually? He's going to find somebody open, or because you're going to have a spy, or he's going to take the hell off and just gas you.
The spies don't even
So
matter half the time with him.
yeah, like he's going to gas you. So it's like why send his own? Like go after man and make him earn his money, or make him earn his money, and also make our DBs and linebackers earn their money. And I'm okay with that. I am.
Right. Well, it is time. It is time to bring our guy D Dot on. Talk about this Bills offense. I'm actually gonna get his opinion too on this defense since he's
And,
our
and
offensive
for me,
guru.
real quick, Marcus, I wouldn't send Williams just off the edge. I personally wouldn't.
He's,
I'm bringing the pressure on Lamar Jackson face if I am doing that in any passing. I want the pressure coming here. Because Lamar Jackson, once you get him move, you want him moving side to side. You don't want him coming off the edge. And he steps up in the pocket or he get one of those lanes and take off. Right. You want to make him uncomfortable. You want to flush him, get
Yeah.
him on the move, and then that's where you got our defensive ends are pretty good and contain with Russo, AJ, and Von Miller. And Rousseau being so rangy, obviously Lamar Jackson is an amazing athlete. I mean, you make him work, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's where we get him at.
Right. All right. D dot. D dot is here. Um, man, I gotta ask you before we get to the office, the Bills office, what we bring you in for. What are the keys, in your opinion, to slowing down Jackson Henry and this Ravens offense? From an offensive standpoint for defense for the Bills, I guess.
Yeah, I like the idea of the changing the fronts. Well, the 43 under looks, bringing that guy, you know what I mean, closer to the line of scrimmage, so that, the line has another guy to account for. Um, I also like being able to sprinkle in a little bit of cover three
Okay.
for this reason. For this reason here, with a one high look, closed field coverage. All right, because I mean I think the key is closed field coverage. And for people who don't know, closed field is you got one high, one safety right in the middle of the football field. It closed in the middle of the field. Um, I like that just because it's easy to fit the run with a cover three. You feel me? You got your force player, whether that be Johnson or whether that be Milano, whatever, depending on what the personnel is. You got your force guy who could, come down into the box. And these guys are instinctual. These guys they trigger really quickly. So I like you being able to sprinkle that in. I like the man aspect. If you're going to if you're going to be bringing that pressure, no simulated, minimal simulated pressures. If you're going to bring pressure, bring pressure. And bringing those guys, like Mal mentioned, those B gap blitzes, a little bit of those C gaps. Bringing those guys from those angles right there, because I agree 110%. Our edge guys, they can set that edge very well, especially Rousseau. I love how you look how he ran down Bo Nix, and you know what I mean. Of course, not comparing Bo Nix to Lamar Jackson. They two complete different players. You know what I'm saying? Lamar Jackson, he get up out of there, but you look at Rousseau, man. He was like a lion hunting a gazelle, man. Like he ran down, and I'm like, God dang, man. Like I felt sorry for Bo Nix because you can see he got up and he's like, yo, what can I do? And that's the type of talent that we've got on those edges there. So I agree 110% with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the Bills offensive side of the ball, man. Obviously, this is a big game for the offense. Probably the best defense we faced um, this season. I mean, when you really look at the Ravens defense, they are almost number one in every major category over this past 8 weeks. Now, I will say this: when you look at their schedule over the past 8 weeks, you got the Browns in there twice, you got Pittsburgh in there twice, you've the Bengals, you got a banged up Houston team in there. Like I said, not making excuses, but just saying you play who's in front of you. But I mean, we got to talk. We got to mention that a little bit. Teams that they've played. The Giants were in there. They played some garbage ass teams. Let's just be real about it. But we're gonna talk about the Bills' offense. What do you think the Bills' keys to success against this Ravens defense, that aggressive Ravens defense, is this week?
Yeah, go back. I mean, just get to taking what the defense is going to give you, right? And I know that's easier said than done. It seemed like the Bills' offense was like grasping at whatever they could grab at some point in time. Because I mean, we already know Henry had the 87-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
Then it got up, and then you could feel the momentum, shifting a bit. And then it seemed as though the Bills on offense were always in catch-up mode. You know what I mean? From that point forward. This time I feel as though it'll be different with the guys that we got coming back, how you guys mentioned before, on defense. And then, of course, our addition of Amari Cooper. The Ravens have, of course, put Kyle Hamilton more at a free safety type role. I'm interested to see if they're going to, help on the boundary with Coop. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna have to give those corners some help. You know what I mean? Or I think this can be a breakout game from Amari Cooper. You know what I mean? If they don't do that. But going back to the offense just taking what the defense gives them, man. I mean, I love what the Bills can run out of 21 and 22 personnel. For everybody who don't know, 22 and 21 refers to the number of running backs and tight ends on the field for the offense. We've seen out just crazily used are those tackle pulls, and I think us, if Alec Anderson is good to go, I think the Ravens are in for some stuff, man, some stuff. With he coming, motion across the formation, or even setting up at a wing and then coming down for those wham blocks. Deion Dawkins coming through. We already saw he knocked somebody out for the Broncos, man, coming on that tackle pull.
Yeah, knocked him out the game too.
Yeah, he was out, man. You could tell when he hit him. Mal already knows, man. You can see the shockwaves go through Buddy, man, and
yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, that's a lot of humanity, you know what I mean, running downhill. And I love what the Bills can do with those different looks. So those, and also the implementation of those flat lead passing plays. So I'm sure that you all, you know what I mean, have been able to see it. Everybody viewing this, where they've got two running backs, whether it be 21 personnel or 20, whatever that it is, but they'll have Gilliam, and he'll go for basically like a lead block into the flat, and then James Cook will go leak out into the flat, and that's essentially like a check down available for Josh Allen. I don't know how much they ran that during the Ravens game. My memory doesn't recall that, but we've seen them run that oftentimes during recent games, and I think that's an easy button throw for Allen, and the ball being in James Cook's hand in space, and we got that lead block out there because we know Gilliam he's not a punk, right? He could get out there, he could thump. I think that, bodes well for the passing game as well. And last point I'll make is this: is if they want to, if the Ravens want to be heavy in the box, right? If they want to be light in the box, you go 21, 22 personnel, boom, 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 all day, play action, boom over top, take your shots. If they want to be heavy in the box, and then we start to spread them out, the key with it is this, right? We're able to see the different wrinkles within the offense. There was a play last game where Ty Johnson ran a B-gap wheel. The tight end ran a drag across formation, right? And then they had Shakir come on a jet motion, orbit return. So he came through for the jet, orbit return back to the other side, and he was essentially the check down. Allen went through his progressions, boom, the wheel. They attached to the wheel. Backer or the nickel back screamed over for that drag. Guess who was wide open? Backdoor, Shakir. And that was for a plus play. It was I think it was 8 or 9 yards, I think, right there. Maybe 10, somewhere. It was between 8 and 12 yards, I believe. We see different wrinkles like that. Now, the Bills have killed teams with that B-gap wheel. Now they see an over-aggressive pursuit, which the Broncos defense is. They're an aggressive defense, right? Mm-hmm. So an over-aggressive pursuit, backdoor right there, where we're able to get plus plays. I see these different wrinkles, and it's the progression and it's the evolution of the offense throughout the season. And that's what has me so excited about how the Bills will attack this defense. Is just pulling the different levers at the right time, and I believe that Joe Brady will do that.
Patting it back to Joe Brady. James, we gotta talk about the other James. Cook, that is. What kind of game did he need to have? Now with this kid, he ran for 100 last week. He got his touches. We said he was, and he got his tutties.
I need 2 explosives out of him in this game.
Okay.
I need 2.
Explosive, right? You mean what?
Runs. So I'm going to say he runs over 10 yards.
Okay.
I need at least 2 of those. So usually over 15, but I'm going to say over 10 this game, right? I think this game will be a little bit tighter. So I think those will be backbreakers. I think they'll panic. Me personally, I think if James Cook get going, they're going to panic. They're going to go into old crap mode. So with him, I think we're going to get – I would like to get him 15 touches at least, and we got to get him the ball 3 to 5 times in the passing game as well, because we got to get them linebackers out there. We got to get them working. I know Ty Johnson is used in that role too, so that helps as well.
Big Ty, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, you get James Cook involved with that a little bit as well. I think that's going to create some headaches for them. Roquan Smith, he's a baller. He's very, very comfortable in that B gap to B gap, so to say, right? we start setting some things up, man, and getting working, I think we'll be all right. But I definitely want to see James Cook. What he's been doing, hey, listen, it's a 1 and 2 yard run, people, it's okay. Like it's okay to call a run on first down and get 1 or 2 yards. That is okay. Like
Hmm.
that is not a bad thing. We don't want to lose yards. Like if you go 2nd and 8, I can live with 2nd and 8, right? And we run it again, we get 3 yards. Like we 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5s, we gonna be okay. Like Josh Allen can get a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 in the sleep, because they gotta respect his legs. So he be able to use the tight ends, use Shakir. Curtis Samuel has come alive, be able to use him. Like these are the things that's going to be effective. Just having those short we can't find ourselves in 3rd and 8, third and not you cannot do that. Whereas obvious pass situations. We cannot put ourselves in that situation. James Cook getting 2, 3, 4 yard runs are going to be okay on first down. So don't, oh, why are we running? We're only getting 1 or 2 yard. Don't panic. It's about chess. It's about putting yourself as field position. You got to play field position game. So you have to be very, very smart. I think James Cook is going to be a problem for them if he can really get going. We block it up. That dude, man, he can be a problem. I'm excited.
Yeah. So for me, the keys to this game is going to be obviously James Cook is a big key. When you really look at Baltimore's defense this season, they only allow 77 yards a game, for average of 22 carries, so 3.5 yards a carry. We've seen that games that the Bills have struggled with the run, but they've never really abandoned it, seems to be a thing of the past. We're not going to abandon that anymore. We're gonna stick with it to keep you honest.
Yep.
Um, I'm not saying that Ravens are going to stop the Bills run offense because let's be honest with you, this is going to be a very good defense line going against probably one of the best offensive lines in football. All right, the Bills ain't no slouches, they ain't no punks up there. But I'll say this: I think that the keys to the matchup are going to be three players here. Um, outside of the big names, but Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox may be huge in this game, maybe very huge in this game, and I'm gonna throw in Ty Johnson. Those three guys right there could change this game. And honestly, if you want, you could do Ty Johnson / Curtis Samuel. Those four guys could change this game. And the reason I said because those are going to be the guys out of this entire game. Those three specifically will have the mismatches.
Yes.
Those are where you're going to attack and you're going to exploit. And this may sound a little weird, but the one player that we have to attack on this Ravens defense is Roquan Smith. The Hall of Famer, Roquan Smith, that is the area of attack. If he's matched up with one of your tight ends, attack him. If he's matched up versus one of your running backs, attack him. Now I know he made a little comment today or yesterday, and I think people took out of context.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him a benefit of the doubt where he said it's simple, just be who we be. Basically, I don't think he caught the Bills off in simple. I think he was saying what we say on the show all the time: be who you are, don't change anything.
Yeah.
Doug, my man Doug says, line has to choose violence. We have to be bullies and not let the Ravens come at us. 100%. I'm going to say 80% of this game, it's not even going to be about who's the best, who's the fastest, who's the most elusive, who's the most accurate. It's going to be up here. Who's going to play the nastiest?
Yep.
Who's going to grind that extra yard out? Who's going to slam your face mask into the ground into the play? I think this game is simply going to come down to that. And we've seen in the past where we said for years that Buffalo going to a game like this was always the finesse team. Always was the finesse team. That's no longer the case.
Yeah, that's not the Bills image anymore.
that is this team was called soft for years. Like, and I always go back to the very moment when Gronkowski jumped on Trey White's head and no one did anything about it. That was the moniker we had, that we were a soft football team. This team that is not the image of this team anymore. They are not soft. You punch back, they're gonna throw an uppercut back at you. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. We're gonna take some 15-yard penalties too. We're gonna take some offsetting penalties. We are not a football team. So I think the key to that is bullying the bully. And I think that Roquan Smith, And this Ravens defense, especially the secondary, they think they're the bullies. They believe that they are the bullies on the block. But I got news for them, and I'm gonna be 100% about this. Listen, you play in the division. And let me stop myself right there. I'm gonna keep going. I know that the Bills play in a division that's not very good as well. It's not our fault that Tua got hurt. It's not our fault that they let Aaron Rodgers brought his cancerous ways to the New York Jets, and that the Patriots is just in a rebuild. But let's just be real about it, okay? You play in division with the Bengals that had not one defensive player, it felt like, on the football field at any point in time. The Cleveland Browns, who are obviously Darren Cancun getting massages right now for a reason. All right, yeah, I said it. And then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who never seemed to gain the identity on offense besides a couple lucky passes to George Pickens a game.
Yeah.
As good as the Ravens are, this is probably, at the very least, the second best offensive football team they played this season, because they did play the Bengals, and the Bengals had a hell of an offense this year. Okay? But the difference between the Bills and the Bengals is the Bills got a defense. The Bengals did not. And if you go through the schedule, right, and you look at the tougher teams that they played, okay? They played the Chiefs. That's a loss, 27-20. You played Dallas before Dallas got hurt, 28-25.
Wait, they lost to Dallas?
No, they beat Dallas.
Okay.
But what I'm showing the closest of these games.
Got you.
The Bengals, 41-38. The Buccaneers, 41-31. Okay? Then you get to the other part of the schedule, and you didn't play anybody. You played the Eagles, you lost. You played the Chargers, this is a one-score game. You played Houston, Texas, yeah, you beat them out 31-2, but Houston didn't have anybody.
I'm going to tell you this. They're going to have to slow the game down. If it turns into a shootout, it's not going to be good for Baltimore.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. They really haven't played competitive football teams in almost the past 2 months.
They're not built for a shootout right now. Not with this Bills team. They're not. They're going to try to slow it down. They're going to try to they're going to try to enforce their will. Hey, they're going to like, hey, we running the ball. We coming at you. What's up? Right?
Yep.
And I know we'll talk about that. And I'm going to tell you the two things that the game is going to come down to. It's going to be simple as that. But yeah, the Bills just got to come with it. And you talking that talk, JT, as usual.
And Marcus makes a good point. The difference is the Bengals are Chase and Higgins dependent. The Bills throw to everyone. And that's what we're talking about. Like, okay, the first game, Shakir got hurt. Keon Coleman got the one big catch. And I think Kincaid got banged up in that game too as well, I believe. Okay? But are you going to be able to stop everybody? So you mean to tell me that this Ravens defense can stop everybody? No.
And JT, that's exactly, you know what I'm saying, you're on point. You know what I'm saying? You both are on point with, you know what I'm saying, your assessment of it. To be real with you, I see the Bills adding some of how they attacked. Look at how they attacked Terrell Dodson with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, not saying Roquan Smith is Terrell Dodson, but they singled him out. They knew he was going to be the weakness in coverage, and they abused that man. They abused him, right? I think that the Bills take some of that, and they put Roquan out in space. All right, you want to come downhill? Mal said, B gap to B gap. That dude, he's real. But outside of that, hey, let's get you moving side to side, homie. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what you could do. Let's see if you can really turn and run with these guys. And you know what I'm saying? If you want to cover these guys, you could turn and run. Because if we look at the game against the Ravens in week 4, they started pinning their ears back, man. They started tagging dudes. So there was a couple times Shakir caught the ball on, you know what I'm saying, some kind of spot route hitch or whatever that it was, and these dudes were coming downhill and tagging them. Kincaid, the same thing. Completely different team. And as you guys mentioned, I mean, the Bills have matched the record, 13 different players catching a TD pass. Where's the ball going to go? You know what I mean? Your eye discipline has to be on point. And one thing that I will say is this Ravens team is a very undisciplined team. Very undisciplined.
They are.
They're talented.
They're young.
But they're very undisciplined. They show that with their penalties that they get at key moments in the game. So they got some significant chinks in the armor, man.
Right. And that's why I say you get Derrick Henry out of this game by taking the lead. That's how you do it. You can't come out flat at all. Come out firing, come out pumped up. You got the home crowd, you got the weather. And I want to talk about that too. I don't know if did I load that banner? Wait a minute, let me make sure I got that up there. While we're on the topic before we go to the final topic. Who has the better weather advantage in this game? Now, if you guys have not seen the weather report, it's forecast, and we know hell it's Buffalo that it could change in a dime of a hat. 8 degrees with a real feel of 3 degrees, supposedly, up to 23-mile-per-hour winds possibly, and a 50% chance of snow. Who has the weather advantage in this game? James, I'll come to you first.
For me, I think I would have to say Buffalo because we've played in it. If you're gonna say anybody has an
Okay.
advantage, I have to say we do because we've played in it, right? But at the end of the day, it's once you get out there, you get the rolling. It's gonna turn into football. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna turn into football. The adrenaline gonna get going. You got the heaters on the sideline, right? It's gonna turn into football. So if I have to pick, I would say we will have it, especially with the home field advantage and everybody gonna be turned up for the game. I would have to say, Buffalo.
What about you, D Dot?
I'll say Buffalo, just for the simple fact that, and it's not even the coldness, it's not even precipitation, it's the wind. Um, Josh talks all the time about how he has a feel for how the winds are in High Mark where it
Okay.
is right now. That's an advantage. Man, you getting a crosswind from a certain direction, that can change the trajectory of your football. That can change the flight of your football. That can change even the spin on the football. Um, that's something that Lamar's not used to. You feel me?
Okay.
So that's a point where he's actually going to be limited, in my opinion.
Right. All right. So you took my point there as well. About the win. And Lamar Jackson throws, and I want to give this man credit because I feel like the NFL as a whole, for whatever reason, whatever their narrative, does not give this young man enough credit for him being a good passer of the football. We only talk about his legs, but this is a man who just threw for 4,000 yards. Um, I will say this, okay? I will say this. Um, he has a very beautiful ball, very accurate when he has time, but he does not have a ball that cuts through the wind. Very similar to Tyrod Taylor. And what I mean by that is I'm not comparing two players, but Tyrod Taylor had a great throw motion, a very pretty ball, but at times when you set those side winds, the ball could not cut through it because he didn't have enough velocity, enough throwing power to cut through the wind. And this is why you draft certain quarterbacks when you play in cities like Buffalo and New York and Cleveland. You draft quarterbacks that can do that. And Bill Polian told me this to my face in an interview years ago. That's why Allen was here. It was because he could slice the ball through the wind, the same thing that Kelly could do. Now I don't want to use the cliche comparison, but yeah, that's why it made sense. Drew Bledsoe was here, things like that. So J.P. Lossman, all guys who could had enough velocity to cut the wind. Lamar does not have the ball to do that, which why I said containing the tight ends is the key because to contain the tight ends for the Bills, those are always safe throws, right? Those are guys who can box you out and catch the ball with you being right there, especially if you're a cornerback or a safety on them. So if you ask me who has the advantage, I'm going to say nobody. I'm going to say nobody. And the reason I'm going to say that is because I feel like both teams, because both teams can run the football the way they do, they're both built for it. The Ravens are built for it because you can run a game plan where you don't have Lamar throwing that ball 20, 30 yards down the field. It's just 5 or 6 yard throws to these tight ends, to these running backs, check downs, and the same thing for the Bills. The other aspect of it for me is if there's a true advantage, what position always struggles the most with this weather? When it's
Kicker,
freezing cold.
kicker.
Think, you think the kicker? What
If
do you
it's
got, D
freezing
Dot?
cold, that football like a rock,
Yeah,
kicker.
okay. What about you, D Dot?
But for me, it's either the quarterback or the receivers, depending on the quarterback. But I'll say the
Okay.
receivers more likely.
I am going to say the defensive backs struggle the most. You see them out there, they're shivering, they can't get out of their breaks fast enough. They look like little kids playing in cold weather a lot of times. Okay? So I will say, for me, a lot of times the defensive backs. And what defensive back struggles the most? It's normally the visiting team. They look out of place, they look cold, they can't move, they look like they're moving in sand.
Now,
Think
I got something for you when you're done, JT.
So I'm going to say the defensive back. So if there's any advantage, it's if the Ravens' young defensive backs can acclimate to the weather and how fast they can do it. I'm not saying they can. I'm not saying they can't. But if there is going to be an advantage, it's going to be that right there.
It's funny you say that. Yeah. I I was going to have a couple takes at the end. I'll save, but it ties into that.
Yeah.
I'll wait to the end to say it.
Yeah.
You got it.
I know Jeff thinks that Henry does not own the Bills. He's only had really 2 good games against the Bills. That one Tuesday night game and this one Raven game. He has
But
not
you
owned
got
the
to
Bills.
realize, like a lot of times, Derrick Henry. All right, wait, let me get into this.
Oh boy.
Take my hat off of this. Derrick Henry is a very talented football player.
No, 100%.
He's a great running back. But what people was misleading to people is this. They say that he's a beast. He's not. He's good, but he's not a beast. Like everybody's saying, like he's just running over people and like he's Jerome Bettis, like just trucking people. When have you ever seen that man stiff arm a D lineman or a linebacker? When have you ever seen him throw? He don't.
For that.
He don't. He bullies cornerbacks and safeties. If you get linebackers that go bang for bang with him, and a lot of his stats in certain games, if you remember that Titans game where he popped a 90-yarder or whatever it was on us, if you take that run out, he averaged like 3 yards a carry. He doesn't own the Bills.
No,
like Derrick Henry is a very good football player. He's a big dude, right? But he's not like you don't got to bring your lunch pail, your hard hat like Ricky Williams when he played in the NFL. When I was in the Buccaneers locker room, them dudes, I said, yo, I as the defensive players, who run the hardest? Them dudes said, yo, man, Ricky Williams, man, that dude, man, them dudes, they eyes are like silver dollars when you mention Ricky Williams. They said, man, you got to bring your big boy hat when you come to that he runs the ball.
Right.
Derrick Henry is a big dude. If he is 220 pounds, he doesn't run harder than Joe Mixon. He doesn't. He doesn't run harder than Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, when that dude lowers his pads, yo, you see bodies behind him. He's bringing the drama. You get what I'm saying? His body's behind Derrick Henry because he's a heavy dude. And if you don't run at him with the proper technique, you're going to miss the tackle because he's 250 pounds. So my thing is, I'm thinking people are like, oh, he's just this beast just running over people and just running up their chest. No, that doesn't mean he's not good, but people look at his size and think it's one thing. It's not. Derrick Henry is a lot more finesse than what you think. He's not that dude that just lower his pads and just run people over. He didn't. Listen, Travis Henry ran the ball harder than Derrick Henry does. I'm not saying he's a better running back, but running the ball hard, Travis Henry, that was here in Buffalo, running the ball harder than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a 250-pound Willis McGahee. And that's what he is. And that's not a diss. He's a 250-pound Willis McGahee. He can catch the ball at the backfield. I'm trying to explain. This is what I do with the running backs. Like, I'm telling you, if you think about how Willis McGahee ran the football, you be like, damn, this dude 225, but he not really running people. Oh, he run okay. He run hard. He wasn't just running people over, but people will miss tackles because he was a bigger guy. Just add 25, 30 pounds to him. That's Derrick Henry. Yeah. That's what it is. And I'm thinking people like, he's just a bruiser. No, he's not a bruiser. No, yeah, exactly. He's not a Marshawn Lynch. Like them dudes ran the ball hard. Like it sounded like thunder when in the stadium you hear bang, 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 you hear pass pop. It's not that Derrick Henry, man. You see a lot of times one dude bring him down.
Listen, every analyst says the same thing. If you meet him at the line of scrimmage and you make contact, wherever you make contact at, that's most likely where that play is going to end. The problem is that the Ravens are doing such a hell of a job, and the Titans did. They getting them going. That if you're not making contact to 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, now that is a problem. But when you tackle him, he's probably going to fall forward. I mean, the guy is he's 6'3", he's probably going to fall forward for another 2 yards anyway. So that's 5 yards of carry right there. And then the bigger problem is you're not making contact to 5-6 yards down the field, and you're letting him get to full speed. Yeah,
that's the problem.
Now is when he's bullying those corners and safety. And yeah, when you hit him, it's gonna hurt. It's going to hurt if you hit him when he's running at full speed. It's not going to hurt if you hit him before he gets going. Plus, he runs high. He's a high runner. He does not lower his pads.
I'm telling you now. Look at Willis McGahee. He's a 250-pound Willis McGahee. That's what he is, and that's not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. When I'm saying he's just not going. He's not going to see you in the open field like, oh, yo, what's up, and Lord, and see what's that's not what he's going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the guys I named are Ricky Williams, right? Marshawn Lynch, Travis Henry. Them dudes was bringing that hardware, man. They coming with it. He's not that. He's a good football player, but I'm sick. I just had to address people like he's just running people over. Nah, he's a good player. You listen. He can beat you, but he's not that style.
I mean, my thing is this too, and what annoys me is people look at the Josh Norman stiff arm and act like Derrick Henry ran through it for you. We didn't kick his ass his whole goddamn career. Excuse my language, but go look at the goddamn stats. We didn't kick his ass his whole career. He's had 2 good games versus Buffalo. One with the Ravens and that one weird ass Tuesday night game with the Titans. We've kicked his ass his entire career. If you don't
But think about it,
me,
JT. In that game, he had that one long run, JT. If it wasn't for that one long run, he didn't do anything.
The Raven game?
No, that Titans game.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Outside that, because I remember we did the show on it. Outside that one run, the carries were 3.4 yards to carry.
Yeah.
You go look at his stats versus Buffalo. He hasn't dominated Buffalo. That's bullshit. He hasn't. He really has not. Go look at the stats. He hasn't.
Nobody. And hold on. Bring cousin jump off back up there, man. This dude. Hold on.
Mayors.
Bring that on up. Come on to the party.
Seth Mayers has said doesn't matter how you run.
No. You ain't gonna move the goalpost, homie. We have to what you're saying, what you were saying is if he's just running people over. Not one person on this show right now ever said he doesn't get results.
Right.
If you say you don't get results, you just a straight hater. You shouldn't even talk football. Everybody knows he's a Hall of Fame running back. Let's get that out the way. Boom. But what I'm talking about, and you and I can bring you on the show. We could talk that running back talk, my man, and we can do that. And we can talk about running hard. And with the style, I'm saying his style. I'm talking about his style, right? Look at it once again. If you compare him more to Willis McGahee than Marshawn Lynch, and I'm talking about Bills running back. Compare him to those guys, right? Y'all there?
Yeah.
Am I there? Did I go away for a second?
You break it up a little bit.
All right, look, I was spinning, but I'm talking about Bill. You could compare him to
You're breaking
McGahee. Up. So that's my whole point right there.
Right. We got you. Like I said, I get what he's saying. No, he's just saying you got to stop him regardless. And I definitely get that for sure. But moving on, man. I don't think.
Hey, JT. One thing, just real quick. One thing I wanted to say to you is this: you're 110% correct as far as the DBs. My thing is, it depends on the route combinations and the concepts that the OC calls. Because you remember that game against Cincinnati, that playoff game that we had here home. Ken Dorsey running, calling some routes where receivers had to break. You know what I mean? Get to a landmark break. They're running digs and posts and everything like that. That ain't gonna be the weather for this. If there's some precip on the turf, and we saw that Cincinnati was able to plaster to those guys, man. If it is that type of game where it's a little bit slick out, let's call some simplified route concepts, which I think Joe Brady would do. Let's run some more simplified route concepts, and then have to make those DBs get in that pedal, stick that foot in the ground, and then get downhill. So that's all I wanted to say. All I wanted to say to that.
That's fine. Moving on to the last.
My bad, Joe. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. I guess it wasn't meant to be. I was a little heated. My bad, Joe.
Last topic of the night, man. This game is why Buffalo traded for Amari Cooper, right? And if you guys remember correctly, when we did the first couple shows, we kept saying Amari Cooper name was popping up. And I kept saying that's the one we need to target when a lot of other media wanted. Who do they want? Devontae Adams, right? And I kept saying, no, Amari Cooper's the easier trade. He's the best fit. It makes the most sense. Long-term and short-term, right? And Buffalo was saying this everybody eats mantra. And I kept saying, at some point, ain't nobody going to eat. And then we got to that Raven game, and nobody ate except Keon Coleman with the one catch. And then they made the Amari Cooper trade. And I said, they're making this trade because they know they're going to spin the block right here and meet the Ravens again. And you better not come with that same core that you had before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we are. And this is the one specific game that we need Amari Cooper to perform in. D-Dot, what does Amari have to do in this game? How does Brady get involved? And what do you think you're going to see from this game with the matchups with the young Nate Wiggins and Stevens?
Yeah, man. So we know Wiggins is decent as a corner, right? He's got some chops at corner. Not saying he's a, you know what I mean, just top 5 guy. But he, you know what I'm saying, he could hold his own out at corner in my opinion.
100%. Good
Stevens is going to be the guy. Yeah, Stevens going to be the guy that I feel as though you can exploit. Now, I think the Bills play a little bit of games with the matchups, right? Amari splits. Last game we saw them bring Amari down at a reduced split down to more of a slot type position. And he didn't necessarily go off, but I feel as though he did affect the coverage, right? That lightening that box. For whether it be a linebacker in that box or a DB nickel back in that box, what have you, i.e. Marlon Humphrey, right? So I think that if they get the matchup that they like, I think that Amari Cooper just uses that that veteran savvy, and he's gonna be able to go over top. I'm telling you this right now. I feel as though Amari Cooper's gonna have a couple call shots, right, where Josh Allen's he's gonna see a one-on-one matchup, he's gonna give him a chance. We saw it earlier in the year after they acquired him. That stresses the defense, right? That stresses the defense. That's something that Kyle Hamilton's going to have to key on. And then guess what? That's where other guys like Shakir's of the world, Kincaid's of the world, Curtis Samuel, now that he's off of his NBA back-to-back, rotation, those type of guys. Even Keon Coleman. I think they're going to give Keon Coleman a couple of jump balls, man. They did that in the Broncos game where, Allen just threw it up to him a little bit. These are the type of things. These are the type of plays where you just got to give guys a shot where they're one-on-one. Amari Cooper and how they're going to play him, he's going to help dictate that.
Yeah, 100%. James, Amari Cooper, man.
I think he can be valuable with 2 catches. I think his value of him just being on the field and his presence is worth 10 catches. He can have 2 catches for 20 yards. I think that's equivalent to 2 or to 10 catches for 85, 90 yards. Because now you have a guy that can just beat that man press coverage or whatever coverage you give, he's ready for it. He's a dude, right? So I think that you trade for a guy like this where he demands attention, where you have to sit down and you say, okay, we have to account for this dude, right? Week 4, we played them, they didn't have to account for a dude, right? And now you have to account for that dude. You can't just throw a guy out there. You throw anybody out there, this dude may have 100 yards on you, right? So I think it's going to be big just having him out there. I think it's going to be very, very valuable. I think I'm not going to get too caught up in the stats because I think just him being out there and having to account for him is going to be a pain for them. And if they don't give him the attention that's required, he's going to have a big game. If they do, you may not see the stats from him, but you'll see the love spread around the rest of the receiving group, and I think that's where the success will come from. So it's like pick your poison.
You know what, D-Dot, I want you to come back and explain something because I know our guy Marcus here, and I want you to explain exactly what he's saying to the viewers because he's making a good point about the Bills are going to exploit the Ravens 4x1.
Yeah, so 4x1 is going to be 4 receivers on one side, 1 receiver on the other, right? Depending on where they're going to motion to, who they're motioning. A lot of times the Bills have done a very good job, and Joe Brady has done a very good job of utilizing motion to be able to identify what the defense is in, rather, whether it be man or whether it be zone, where the leverage is going to be, what leverage you're going to pull, what guys are going to be hots, what guys are not. If the defense is actually going to be, bringing any kind of pressure. So what Marcus is talking about is, Bills being able to open it up some. All right, and when you actually open up the football field, that's actually where you can identify whether pressures are coming easier. And I believe that Josh Allen has an easier time with being able to do so, being able to identify where pressures are coming from. Um, so as you do that, right, and you have this 4x1. Now you're bringing a guy in motion. You can motion to a 3x2, right, or you could return motion. You bring a guy back in motion, and then you bring them back. You know what I mean? If the defense dictates that you would actually be able to out leverage them. So Marcus is basically talking about spreading the defense out so that Josh can see where guys going to key, and so he can actually get the offense to the right type of play, because typically quarterbacks get 2 plays anyway when they come out of the huddle. So whenever you see Josh go alert, he's either alerting to the run play that they have called already, or he's alerting to the pass play that they have called as the audible to out leverage the defense, because the defense is showing something that Brady is seeing from up above that he's relaying to Josh.
When we talk about Amari Cooper, right, and we talk about a guy who's, I'd say, has had an unfair career as far as judgment, games, and everything such, right? Amari Cooper has only played in 6 playoff games in his entire career.
That doesn't surprise me.
He has only played in 6 playoff games in his entire career, and probably no games of this magnitude, right? With no team outside of maybe his time, maybe a run with Dallas, that had this much hype behind it. I think he's going to come ready to play. I don't think he's going to be just a decoy. And I mean, God knows he's been the best decoy we've had in a long time. I know the numbers aren't going to show his complete impact on this team, but everybody else's number and efficiency in the offense should. It does. I think you are going to see a couple shots to him, and I think a couple of those shots he's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to win a couple of them. Like, so when you talk about Nate Wiggins, you talk about Brandon Stevens, those guys are young. And Amari Cooper is that wily old vet. The way I look at it is, you're in the forest, it's wintertime, he's that wolf. He ain't necessarily going to go hunting, but if you give him an easy kill, he's going to take it. And that's what I think he's been around. And I think these young boys, especially if you get a Wiggins matched up on him, that's a young pup. That's a young pup versus a big dog, man. You know what I'm saying? I go back to the cartoons. The big dog on Tom and Jerry with the little scrappy pup. You know what I mean? Hey. You keep talking, you keep nipping at my heel, I'm gonna kick you, and you're gonna fly against the fence. This is what happens. Call Acme Acres. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think Amari Cooper is in the game. I don't know if he's going to have 100 yards. I'm not saying that, but I do think we'll see a game like a 5 catches, 50, 60 yards. And that's going to open everything up. Like I said,
if he has that stat line, oh boy,
right.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
a backbreaker.
And that's my point. Like, it's a whole different ball game with him in here for the first time they played us. They have not seen this team. So, and I just want to throw out one more stat before we get off air here, because y'all know me, I'm all about the numbers. Okay, just want to run this out here. Before that 199-yard game that Derrick Henry had versus the Bills this year, he had 359 yards in 5 games against the Buffalo Bills, equaling 72 yards a game. Like I said, he did not kill the Buffalo Bills before that game. There was a couple games he had, but there was a couple abysmal games he had as well. Just saying. So, just want to throw that out there. I'm a numbers guy. I'm going to look it up. So, but other than that, though, man, this is a big game. This is obviously the biggest game of the weekend. You said last week, James, you already knew that this game would be the last one of the weekend. Hopefully, I pray for everybody that watches football, that's on the show watching football, that we have a better week total in football than we had Wild Card Weekend. Because I'm not going to lie, Wild Card Weekend was some ass, man. Some very, very, very bad football. Very bad football. Hopefully, we get at least 3 out of the 4 games be some good games, no snooze fest. But final thoughts, man. D Dot coming to you.
Yeah, I've said it since you guys been able to bring me on here, man. I hope that people have an appreciation for Amari Cooper. We just ended the segment speaking on him. Um, just being able to have an appreciation for a guy who can stretch that defense, and what I love is his ability to be able to adjust to the ball. Simple. I don't want to bring up the ghost of playoff pass, but Steph Diggs, it was questionable how he could adjust to the football when it was in the air. Let's keep it a buck. Hitches, cool. Slants, cool. Those pivot routes, great. But when the ball is in the air, being able to adjust, being able to know when to throttle down, know when to accelerate, it's an art, man. And Amari Cooper, I'm telling you, I think Josh gonna hit him with a couple back shoulder throws, man. Especially if they do want to leave him single cover, couple of back shoulders, and then those DBs they start getting a little bit more handsy. Couple penalties here, couple penalties there, and we know what the Bills do after that. So I'm excited to see what the Bills do. As long as they continue to take what the defense gives them, and come out physical.
All right, J Mal. Final thoughts.
Exciting, exciting game. I'm all ready for it. I'll be in my pajama pants. Figure out something off my diet to eat, and um, so it's some key things for me for the Bills. Number one is start fast. Last week we started kind of slow. You don't want to do that against this team. So we want to start fast. I think that's pretty important for this team to be able to start fast. I think we start fast, we'll be able to keep that pace. I think we'll get the W. Even if we start slow, that's not the end of the world. But I think starting fast is really, really, really going to be important for our team.
Go ahead and put your score predictions in the chat, people.
Yeah, drop those score predictions, please. And there's two things I think are going to be key to the game: creating a turnover
Okay.
and special teams. The team whose special teams play the best is going to win this football game. In tight games like this, that's one of the three phases of the games: offense, defense, special teams. Your special teams win, that changes everything, man. The special teams are going to be huge. If we can create a turnover on special teams, a big hit like Mac Hollins had last week, that juices everybody up. Like we gotta get something generating there. I think we can if we can get an edge on the special teams. I think that'll be huge for us and be able to create a turnover. That's a must.
All right. All right, man. Honestly, I'll say this. I just think that these are possibly the two hottest teams in football right now playing against each other. You can't, you cannot ask for a better matchup than this to set possibly an AFC Championship game. And honestly, with the seeding, we just couldn't get there. Okay. We knew that this day would come at this matchup right here at this point. Especially as we saw the Steelers kept backtracking and the Ravens going full throttle. And this is a matchup that the Bills should want. They came out week 4 and they absolutely kicked your ass. Let's just be real about it. The Bills got their ass kicked, no doubt about it. Hats off to the Baltimore Ravens. They came in and handled their business. Well, now it's time for the Buffalo Bills to handle their business. And either you gonna handle it or you gonna get handled. It's win or go home. It ain't a far drive for a lot of these players. You get your ass kicked, guess what? You got a 10-minute ride home, but you got like 200 days to think about it. You see what I'm saying? So come out, come out fast. Do not come out flat. Be aggressive in the beginning. And like I said, bully the bully. Bully the bully. Like I said earlier in the show, this Bills team ain't soft. This is not the teams of the past that I felt they were soft. This is not them. Come out, hit them hard, hit them strong, and hit them early. Take a 2-score lead, and you take Derrick Henry out of this game. If you can make them to more traditional offense, that is where they struggle. It has been the same moniker every year with Lamar Jackson and Baltimore Ravens offense in the playoffs. And I know Todd Monken's a different offensive coordinator. I don't care. Get a 2-score lead, and you can take him out of this game. Even if Zay Flowers plays, it's not the same explosiveness. You don't have hardly any explosive players out there. And I'm not sleeping on Rashad Bateman. Not sleeping on him. And I know Lamar is probably the most explosive quarterback we've probably seen in the history of this game outside of Michael Vick. But when you take Zay Flowers and he's not there or he's not 100%, that's
Changes
a very
everything.
it changes everything about how you where you play your safeties, where you play your linebackers. Okay? So my point is this is just come out, get the 2-score lead. You got to score all day. Don't stop scoring. I don't care if you're up by 30. Keep throwing it. Keep scoring. Plain and simple, man. Josh Allen, Bills Mafia want to say he's the MVP, whether he wins it or not. Well, just prove it. Prove it. Both of these quarterbacks got something to prove. Both of these quarterbacks got to first show that they can beat each other, but they also have to show that they can beat Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying that he's going to be there waiting next week because we don't know. Anything can happen. But I'd say that he probably going to be there waiting next week. As they tell The Rock on WWE, the final boss. You get what I'm saying? So, hey, man. Can't wait. Can't sleep, man. Ready for this game. I'll take one more question. My man, our resident Titan fan, Jeffrey Gonzalez says, JT off topic, Titans #1 pick or trade it? Keep it, Cam Ward. Keep it, Cam Ward. Don't do
Cam Ward, the guy.
Don't do Jackson Dart. Cam Ward. So, other than that, guys, great show. We'll be back on Sunday night. We'll go live probably about 9:30. Win or lose, we'll be live 9:30 to recap whatever happened, and then
Will the game be over by then? Oh yeah, we have 6:30. It's 6:30.
Well,
so we'll probably be later than 9:30.
Yeah, whenever it ends, we'll be live.
We'll be on.
Yeah, so we'll be ready to go. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys give us so much insight. I told you, man, before we have like one of the smart. Our audience is not huge, but we have one of the most insightful in football IQ and audiences.
That's a fact.
I'm not blowing smoke. You go to some of these big audiences, you see the comments, and it's like, we need to hire Jim Kelly as the quarterback. Like, what the hell are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? What are we talking about here? You know, or guys on Twitter that call themselves a sports bully that say we have to go up there for All-Pro and shit like that. You know what I mean? Just very insightful audience. But other than that, man, great show. Tune in. You guys enjoy the game this week. Stay safe if it's bad weather out there. And actually, too, if you guys go to the game, it's going to be freezing. Please bundle up. Don't lose no fingers or no toes. If you got 10, come back with 10. If you got 8, come back with 8. Whatever you left the house with, please come back with it. But catch you guys later, man. Peace.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.